Hey, it's your boy Easy, and on today's episode of Easy Opens, we're going to be taking a look at the SH Figuarts Shinkocchou Seihou Kamen Rider Accel action figure. So let's go ahead and get this figure free from its really awesome iPhone case plastic prison thing, and take a look and see what we think about Kamen Rider Accel. Alright, so here is Kamen Rider Accel fresh out the box with all of his accessories. Now, if you're unfamiliar with this character, he comes from the 2009 series of Kamen Rider called Kamen Rider Double, written as Kamen Rider the letter W. It's a series that's got a theme of noir and detectives and police and all this stuff, and it's a lot of fun and a really good series to start out with if you're unfamiliar at all with Kamen Rider in general, and I highly recommend it. Now, this character is the secondary rider to Kamen Rider Double, and he is supposed to transform into a motorcycle, but this figure unfortunately cannot do that. But in turn, what he does to make up for that is he comes with a bunch of accessories. So let's go ahead and talk about those. So Kamen Rider Accel comes with 5 sets of hands, 1 engine blade, which is what his sword/gun is called, and he comes with 2 memories, 2 Gaia memories, and he comes with 2 heads. Now, one of the heads has kind of like a headlight effect to it, to where you can see like all the little bulbs inside, and one does not. Now, I actually prefer the one that is more blue translucent with the bulbs inside of it that you can see. I prefer that head a lot. I think it looks a lot better in my opinion. Now, this figure stands just a little bit taller than 6 inches, but that's due to the fin on his helmet, or his head, whatever you want to call it. But the character is still in the 1/12 scale of action figures that the rest of your Kamen Rider figures from Figuarts are in. And so, speaking of that, let's go ahead and take a look and see how he measures up to some other figures you might have in your collection. So yeah, here he is with Kamen Rider Double, the first release, and as you can see, he blows this figure totally away. The original release of the Kamen Rider Double figures back in the day were great, because these figures are good figures. They're fun toys, they have great articulation, and the sculpt and details, everything is great. However, in comparison to the Shinkocchou Seihou line, they look like toys, where the Shinkocchou Seihou line looks like, as they are intended to do and the whole purpose of it, they look like guys that are in this costume, and like they've walked right off the screen and onto my shelf. And so that is very evident here. And so if you were thinking about, like if you were in the same situation as I was, where I had Skull and I had Double from the previous releases, but I didn't have Accel, and you're thinking that maybe you can get this new version and it'll fit in, doesn't really fit in all too well, and will probably make you go ahead and buy the rest of the renewals of the Kamen Rider Double figures. So there you go. And having said all that, here is Kamen Rider Accel with the Shinkocchou Seihou Kamen Rider Double figure, and this looks more like it. This is fantastic. These figures look great together, and again, Figuarts killing it with this line. So now let's take a look at some other figures you might have in your collection and how Kamen Rider Accel measures up to them. So here is Kamen Rider Accel with Marvel Legends Pizza Spidey, Marvel Legends Invisible Woman, and the Marvel Select Rhino figures. Here he is next to Figma's One Punch Man and Storm Collectibles Scorpion figure. Here he is next to the DC Collectibles Batman figure and NECA's Shredder figure. And here he is next to the Bandai Legacy Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Yellow and White Ranger figures. So this figure is very shiny. He's got an almost Vac Metal-esque, and I don't know, it might actually be some form of it, but I don't think that it is. I think it's just shiny paint. but still it kind of looks like it might be, so it kind of still tickles, but scratches that itch for me. It's got this nice shiny red paint deco on it, and there's so much detail in this figure. It's unreal, because this character is designed to actually transform into a motorcycle, like I mentioned earlier, so there are a lot of other dynamics to his suit as compared to Kamen Rider Double or Kamen Rider Skull from the same series, and Figuarts killed it with this one. There's so much detail in just every area of this figure, and again, the paint looks fantastic. It's so shiny and just shimmering, and it just like stands out, and it's so bold, and I don't know, I love it. And the translucent visor is amazing, and the way it juxtaposes with the red, the blue with the red, just looks fantastic. One thing I forgot to mention in the accessories is that his belt, his Accel driver, is actually removable, and so I should have counted that as probably another accessory, but upon removing it and looking at it really close, there is so much detail in his belt driver, his Accel driver. It's unreal. They've got like a little gauge on there that is just so detailed, and his belt is nice. Everything about this figure is fantastic, and it looks amazing. I can't say enough good things about this character, and the paint and the sculpt. It just looks so good, and I can't say enough good things about it. They killed it with this figure as well. So there you go. So let's go ahead and take a look at what kind of articulation you're going to get out of this figure. Alright, let's take a look at the articulation that you're going to get out of SH Figuarts Kamen Rider Accel. So his head is on a 360 ball joint, so you get full range of motion at his neck. He can look up this far, he can look down pretty far as well, and his arms are inhibited by the chest, or excuse me, the shoulder armor, but they are on a 360 joint at the elbow, or excuse me, at the shoulder, so you can rotate it around if you wanted to, but you just have to do some finagling with the armor. You would think that he would have a bicep swivel, but I didn't want to risk breaking mine, but I don't think that it works, or that it can move that way. He does have double jointed elbows, but the armor and the design of the character, it's kind of hard to get it to move that way, but it does move that way. And then he has 360 rotation in the wrist, again, because the hands are removable. His legs can go out this far. I don't know if you can, let me see. There you go. Legs can go out that far. They go forward this far, and they can go back pretty far this far. The knees are double jointed as well, and he does have a thigh swivel that you can't quite get 360 out of, but it's, does what it needs to do. And then the ankles have 360 rotation, and they are on a pivot, so you get left to right and front to back really well. And he also has a toe joint as well. Let's see. Then he does have some chest articulation, some ab crunch kind of articulation. He can lean back about this far, and he can go forward about this far, and he does have rotation at the waist, which should be 360, but I'm a little scared to move mine that far because it feels like it might break. But I believe that you could possibly do that, get a 360 rotation at the waist with this figure. The problem is that the armor does inhibit some of the articulation, but not too much, but still you get a lot out of this figure. So that's all you're going to get out of the articulation from Kamen Rider Accel. Alright, so final thoughts on Kamen Rider Accel from the SH Figuarts Shinkocchou Seihou line. This figure, again, is on par with the rest of the Shinkocchou Seihou line. It is fantastic and amazing, and I can't say enough good things about this figure and this line. And at this point, I am among many other people who are going to be buying and rebuying these figures in this line, because not only do they come in a really cool box that has really cool box art on it that you could display and feels amazing, these figures blow Figuarts' previous attempts completely away. And just in sculpt, design, paint, bulk, just everything. These figures, especially Kamen Rider Accel, does not look like a toy. It looks like, you know, like some sort of high-end action figure that you would expect from like a Hot Toys, but like shrunk down. And I love it, everything about it. And I wanted to buy this figure previously, but I could never find it for a good price, or I always found something else to spend my money on. So I'm really glad to have this figure in my collection, because I love Kamen Rider Double a lot. And having all three riders, Double, Skull, and Accel together, feels really good. And I don't know, this character is so cool, and I love this design, and I highly recommend this character, this figure. If you haven't watched Double, go ahead and watch it, and be prepared to be spending some money to get these figures. I would say skip the previous releases if you can afford it, and go with the Shinkocchou Seihou line, because you will not be disappointed with what Figuarts is doing with this line, and especially in this figure. Alright, well that's going to do it for me today. Thanks so much for watching, and if you liked what you saw, go ahead and hit that like button for me, and if you want to see more of me, go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well. I really appreciate it. And for some weird reason you want to hear more from me, you can do that by checking out my other podcast, where I have a show called Turtle Soup, where a friend and I talk about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles every other week, and I have a show called Daydream Nation, where a friend and I talk about a different record every other week as well. Alright, well that's going to do it for me today. Again, thanks so much for watching, and be sure to check back here often for more opening goodness right here on Easy Opens. Else time.